Yeah, what's up? Welcome to the Adi Salvia podcast. Been offline for a while. Thought I'd just get away and have a break. But I'm back on and I've got one of the brothers on here today. But first, let's roll the intro.
When the beats hold my waist,
Professional way.
Oh, roll it, baby, all for you. Hold my waist.
Yo, what's up, everyone? Thanks for joining. I've got one of the brothers, Nehe Milner-Skudder, in the building. What's up, boss?
What's up, my bro?
Good to have you here, bro. I know it's kind of been hectic the last couple of weeks with what's been going on, but obviously with the COVID-19, what you been up to during it, bro? Taking the dogs for walks?
Yeah, bro. Yeah, probably more so than what I usually get to do. So they've been loving that. But yeah, like a lot of people, bro, just been chilling at home, getting a bit of training in, turning the garage into a bit of a gym setup. Not quite the setup that you've got here.
What setup? It's humble, right?
Yeah,
just doing press-ups.
Yeah, just a humble 180 on the bar too, brother. So
I deliberately put 180 on the bench so Skudz walked through and he saw it.
warm up, you were saying too. But nah, bro, it's been cool. Obviously, with our hectic schedules and stuff, I know people have enjoyed the time that they've been able to spend at home, and no different for myself. It's just been myself and the wife and our pets in our bubble. So yeah, bro, happily married end of last year and still going strong, and the house is still standing. So that probably is a good summation of how lockdown's been for us, brother.
Also, has obviously Zoom's become the most popular thing for people to do. Have you been hit up heaps of times to do Zoom sessions or interviews or people outside of footy, people asking you to do shout outs and stuff like that?
Yeah, bro. Yeah. There's been a few requests come in, and I've been lucky enough to get on a few Zoom calls and stuff like that. It's way different to I guess what I'm used to, but in this day and age, you sort of just have to adapt, and I probably have to say a few apologies to people that have been hitting me up, and I've had to sort of turn down.
You just gave the CD.
No, bro. No, I've actually been respectful and replied to them and just saying, oh look, I got a bit on at the moment, and I'll probably just wait till I roll out the Adi Salvia podcast and gain a bit of traction and a bit of confidence, after this, and get on to a few more. So hopefully, over the next wee while, I'll be able to jump on a few other ones and have a cordial with them as well.
Have to, bro. Bro, and I think we'll just jump straight into it. Obviously, you've announced some crazy as news, awesome news actually. First of all, just want to congratulate you, bro. I know how tough it would have been to make that decision, man, but sign with the Highlanders. Yeah,
brother, some pretty big news that came out a couple of days ago. I was sort of hoping, I'd been afforded the opportunity to sort of make the announcement on my own terms, but in this day and age, I don't know if we might get into it a bit deeper around media and the purpose of them and trying to get scoops out there and whatnot, but that doesn't take away from the excitement, the amazing feeling that, it is sort of a fresh start, a new opportunity for myself and the wife and the family and that. So, bro, I'm really stoked. I know that, the club, the Highlanders club down there, have got an amazing culture, awesome setup, bro. So, for me and I guess where I'm at, in my career and sort of what's happened over the last couple of years, bro, I'm chomping at the bit to get down there and get stuck in.
I bet, bro, and like you said, it's a massive opportunity and it's a fresh start. I guess, and I've seen Sops and stuff sharing. I'm like, Sops, you're not at the Highlanders anymore, but you will be moving from relationships and people that you've created at the Hurricanes, and going to the Highlanders, creating new friendships. But you excited about that and connecting with guys like Nug and stuff like that?
Yeah, bro. Yeah, and that's something we always talk about playing rugby or playing sport is that connection, all those connections and those relationships that you build. And I've been very fortunate to spend sort of 6 odd seasons at the Hurricanes, and I've got so much respect and so much love for them and everything that they've done for me in the whānau over our time being there. Even just giving me the opportunity to get a crack at this level, debuting sort of a few years ago, and being a part of something special. That 2015 year still stings a little bit, and the fact that the Landers beat us in that final was
sad guy, man.
There'll be a few I guess conversation starters heading down into Dunedin, but bro, with all that said, I feel like I can sort of move with some still relationships in a good space, and a lot of respect for the whole Canes franchise and the people and the fans. So there will be a big part that I'll miss, but I'll always sort of hold close to my heart. And then at the same time, bro, some new horizons coming up, and you get to catch up with some old foes and old friends.
Get to play under the roof, man.
Yeah, bro. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to that. Obviously, people say you can't beat wellies on a good day, but when it comes to playing in the Cates and in all the wind and whatnot, bro, it'll be a nice feeling not having to check the weather forecast before getting into games.
Hard out, bro. And you mentioned the Canes and how massive they've been throughout your rugby journey and even life as well. When did you make your Canes debut? Because I know you played league too as well. So share a bit about league and then coming to Union and the Canes giving you the opportunity, brother.
Yeah, bro. This is probably going back a few years.
We started the same year, eh?
How old were you? You would have been just out of school. Were you still at?
I was like 18, 19.
Yeah, bro. I'm a couple of years older, but that would have been 2014, I think, my first year with Whiters. Bro, that was mean. Like you said, I had a couple of years over in Sydney playing league, and that didn't actually work out the way I wanted it to. Sort of had a couple of years in the 20s squad, and then didn't crack the first grade, so I ended up coming back to Palmy, and then went down the sort of club route of playing club rugby, and then making turbos, and then getting an opportunity at the Canes for Whiters, bro. And I'll never forget that feeling, like just walking into the changing rooms and seeing the likes of yourself, the bro, Jules, all these superstars, brother. And from I guess rewinding a year prior, like seeing them on TV and thinking, bro, these fellas are unreal, like idols and stuff. And then Hello sitting next to them in the changing rooms, and bro, like having conversations with guys like Corey Jane and that, and hard
just normal dudes, eh? Everybody's just normal, eh?
Just even though you're the new fella, you still get the Mickey taken out of you, and it's all good fun, bro. And and going from I guess that first year 2014 to where we are now, bro, it's been a heck of a journey.
Mean, brother. And I mentioned before, like you've shared 214, 220, 6 years being at a special club, and then you're moving on to a new club. Like, I know the decision wouldn't have been just you, but you've got a family, you got your wife. How tough was it, like, coming together and deciding that decision, brother?
Yeah, bro, yeah. It's, us rugby players, it's not just us when, we need to factor in our decisions. And, we had some good chats around the opportunity, I guess, weighing up the pros and cons of going down, and, more so from what that would mean for us as a family. And, the wife is pumping with her mahi up here, and so I'll probably, make the move, I guess, for the first instance, just to get settled in and go from there. But, bro, she's, my number one supporter, and I'm very lucky that she sort of understands. And it's quite funny, though, because of, I guess, the last few years being sort of injured and not having to travel so much. It's probably it's just like a massive shock from me traveling all the time to me being back at home. And she's like, can you get back out on the field so you can bugger off on...
She's getting sick and tired of you, man.
That's probably exactly how she'd explain it. So, bro.
I'm the same. I've only been here, 4 weeks, and in the time I've been injured, it's already scratching your head.
Yeah, brother. So it's a hard case of that, and I'm quite lucky that, bro, we always have a good convo about it, and I guess make a decision that we both we're both happy about, and I've got her support behind me, so I'm stoked for that.
Bro, was there any doubts in your mind in making the decision? I know, like, fans and stuff will look at that and be like, man, like he's a Hurricanes man through and through. Like, you know, like the whole loyalty game, the whole loyalty chat. But like you said, you got to do what you got to do. What are your thoughts on that, bro? Did you have any doubts in terms of should I go because I've got so much history with the Canes?
Yeah, bro, that definitely played a bit on my mind. Like, you know, as much as I try and say, oh, you know, all that outside noise and you know, that pressure from bro, it does, and that sort of did. I did sort of factor that in for a little bit, I guess, around making a decision, and that's probably just because, bro, the fans up here in Wellington, you know, they're real passionate. You know, they always come into trainings, captains runs, and always showing love for the boys, and it's something that, you know, you always admire about people in the game that we play. But you know, for me, I guess with my situation where I'm at the moment, it's probably, I don't know if being loyal to myself is the right way to frame it, but I think just, I guess, doing what's best for me in the whānau at this point in time. And I think, that's totally around, I guess, a fresh start, new opportunities, and bro, just getting excited about what's coming up.
That's cool. And that's me, bro, because like I've known you for many years, and we've created this special brothership that we have, bro. And I know you for a person to do a lot for others, put others like even before yourself. And it's mean to see, even though I'm gutted you're leaving the Canes, but it's mean to see that you've made a decision that's like best for you, and you're doing what's best for you, which is mean. And you mentioned your injuries, bro, and man, for the people that don't know, how long have you been out from the game just from your injury? Yeah,
bro, so my last game was the end of 2018, the AB's test in Japan. Bro, so it's been a long time since I've I guess working my way back from that game, and I guess ever since, I think I had my first shoulder reconstruction back in 2016. So bro, the last 4 or 5 years have just been up and down with injury, getting back, working through my rehab, getting back out on the field, and then sort of setback after setback, bro. But at the same time, I think I've, you know, as a lot of people say, you know, the adversity that you go through and all those struggles, you know, allows you to grow as a person. There's no, I'm not saying it doesn't suck, and bro, I wasn't in some dark places. You know, I was feeling that weight and, you know, that heaviness of not being able to play and train and be out there with the brothers, bro. So that was tough. But I feel like I've sort of come through all these tough times as, you know, but, you know, better of understanding myself, putting things into perspective, and bro, I feel like I've grown heaps through the setbacks that I've been through.
Man, what were your like feelings and emotions during that time? Because I've been injured for like 6 months, and I've struggled with it. I don't know how I would be able to deal with it for 2 years. Like, you know, like coming back, like rehabbing, and then having step back rehab, like the dark places you mentioned, bro. Like I think people underestimate because they say, oh, he's injury, and then the story of, oh, you learn from it. But what were the, like, if you don't mind me asking, like the actual feelings you're feeling, and like moments that you can recall when you just like felt like, man, I don't want to do it? Were there any moments where you're like, nah, I'm gonna throw in the towel?
Yeah, bro, heaps. So many times that, you know, I used to just be, you know, crying on the bedroom floor and just talking to my wife about, you know, babe, I've had enough, ready to chuck it all in, and she's just like, nah, get up, you know, get on with things. And you know, there was a balance between, you know, making, I guess, reminding me, you know, why I'm doing what I do. And bro, it was like, because I've had so many injuries, it's been different every time. I think the first time back in 2016, I was
feed me also feed us,
just in the denial game. Like when I first heard, oh yeah, you're going to need surgery, you're going to be out for about 6 months, I was like, hey, nah, surely not. Shoulder feels all right. I'll just, you know, do a couple of weeks of rehab and
come
get
back in 2 months, eh?
Yeah. And then, bro, so I was in that sort of denial phase, just thinking, nah, she'll be right. Like pretty much not really wanting to go there to those feelings of, oh shit, you know, I'm going to be out for 6 months. So that was tough, bro. Like just, I think a lot of it came off the back of 2015. Like that was a mean year, getting to debut for the Canes, cracking it into the ABs and all that. And so I sort of needed to prove myself again. Like I don't know, but that second year syndrome and almost, people thinking, oh, it was a fluke that 2015 year. So that created extra pressure and expectation on myself. And for me to get injured, I think it was about 3 rounds into that season, bro, I was like, man, I've sort of, taken away an opportunity to try and prove myself for the next year. And so that was hard to deal with, bro. I had to, talk to psychologists, a couple of our mental skills coaches who just gave me like a bit of a structure and a process around, the things I was feeling around, wanting to be back out there, sort of doubting myself around, rehab and all these sorts of negative thoughts I was having. They were almost trying to, I guess, normalize that and give me sort of positive self-talk that I could go back to from my evidence, from being, reminding myself that I'm, a good player and I can get back there.
Yeah.
And then it was about putting a structure in around, just focusing on day-by-day tasks and, ticking those off and then going, okay, what is the next day? What does the next week look like, rather than having that long-term view.
Bro, that's unreal, man. Like, I just can't imagine those times that you went through. And I know, like, people come back from injury and they're like, they're really excited. But like, even myself, the day I see you run out on the field with Landers, I know how much, because obviously you're sharing it now, but we've caught up a few times and you've shared like what you've been through. So it'll be like a sweet moment, like seeing you run out on the field. Going through the injury also really like blessings as well. Like, how they always say there's always a blessing in disguise. Like with COVID-19, there's so much positive. Through your injury, bro, what were the kind of things that stand out for you that were kind of good? Like, even though you're out from the game and you're going through all that, were there any other things that kind of good for you?
Yeah, bro, I reckon perspective is a good one. And in terms of that, like just looking at my situation and saying, oh, well, I might have a buggered shoulder, but, I've got all these other things. I've got an amazing partner and wife to be, amazing family, amazing friends, all these support networks. I've got a roof over my head. I've got food in the cupboard. I've got clothes to put on. And so I guess, realizing that and, tapping into that gratitude for what I've got around me and going back to learning things around like what I can and can't control. And, as much as I want to tell my shoulder to heal fast and, hurry up and get stronger and all that, you can talk positive affirmations to it, but, there's no point letting that affect your attitude and having sort of negative thoughts. So, bro, I've been grateful in that respect to take out a sort of a new look on life, I guess. And I reckon it's probably helped me be a bit more empathetic towards other people as well, knowing that, I thought I had it all, going great and stuff like that, and then it got taken away from me. But then at the same time, I'm still lucky enough to have all these things around me and trying to see that through the eyes of other people and get more of a better understanding on more important things.
Sometimes we forget as footy players, like you said, we're high and we're riding that wave of goodness, and then when you're like injured or you're away from something, sometimes it's hard to seek gratitude and like you're grateful for a house, because all you're thinking about is, like you said, external noise, like from like you read media and you read that, and it's hard to get into that mindset of saying, oh, I should be sweet because I'm grateful for this, even though it's an injury. But for us, when we have live and breed rugby, it's tough to come out.
And it's hard because I almost, hearing myself explain like that, it's almost like I'm saying it's just a switch that you just click on and suddenly you're grateful, positive, It's not that simple, but I think if you, maybe it's around creating habits and going to those sorts of positive spaces a lot more, and reminding yourself of those even when you are in your highs, like say whether it's just rugby, everything's going well for rugby, but you're still, consciously aware of the other parts that, make you up as as a human, as a
bro.
fella, and as a person.
Talking about that, also, what are the tools that you use now that you've kind of taken away from, your journey? What are the tools that you use, to help you with, your well-being and getting your kind of mental state right?
Bro, I've sort of probably been able to like take a pause when I'm sort of facing situations. I think being able to take a step back and actually get a better grasp of the situation rather than just getting angry or frustrated or annoyed. Or for me, I've sort of just trying to just check where my anger or frustration is coming from, or why I'm responding the way I am to the situation, whether it's around getting down about injury, or rehab not going to plan, or stuff at home, or all that sort of stuff. So sort of that, probably just down to sort of self-awareness and just checking myself on why I feel and think the way that I do.
And also one of the other things that we talk about is life after footy, and I guess being away from the game for almost 2 years, or after 2 years, has that kind of opened your eyes up in terms of what life away from footy might look like for you? Like, did you work on things, I don't know, that you think you may transition into after footy?
Yeah, bro, and to be fair, that was a scary
feeling,
like a prospect of, if I can't play again, what am I going to do? Like, but in saying that, I've ticked off a management degree through one of the polytechs down south.
Let's go. Wait, Dunners.
Yeah.
Bro, you're destined to go down there, bro.
I go down for my graduation. And, but yeah, bro, I've sort of thought quite a lot around, what I want to do after rugby. And I think for me, rugby's been mean in terms of allowing us to almost, be role models and have like a big impact on our youth, and provide us with opportunities to go into schools, talk to different groups, and just seeing the impact that we have, bro. That's pretty much been one of the most rewarding things about playing the game. And so I sort of almost want to continue to go with that post rugby, whether it's sort of social work, working with our youth, just empowering them with, I guess, some of the things that I've learned over my life and career and experiences, and just try and help them want to be better and do better, bro.
Let's go. We're going to talk about that. Obviously, you're talking about your well-being and what you went through for your injury, bro. But I know you're a big advocate of mental health and mental well-being, bro. And I know you're part of Head First New Zealand, which is a great initiative that NZRU have kind of put out in terms of looking after the well-being. Man, what are your thoughts, or what kind of, because you've worked with so many youth in the past, what have you kind of seen that we kind of need, you can say from athletes' perspective, from pro footy, or just anyone in general, what we can do better?
Bro, I think for us, like, without beating around the bush, we are seen as role models, by young kids and fellas that want to come through and play rugby. At the same time, though, we always harp on about being more than rugby players. And so, rather than, no disrespect to like trying to teach them, how to tackle or pass a rugby ball, but I'd love to think that we could share the lessons that we've learned around, how we look after our mental well-being, how we deal with setbacks, how we try and aim to achieve whatever we write down with our goals and stuff like that. Because whether they go on to be All Blacks, Hurricanes, Highlanders, whatever, that's great. But if not, at least that way we're still imparting them with skills that, bro, I reckon you need through, no matter what you go through life, whether you're a business person. And so, the boys, rugby players, boys and girls, we have stories, we have experiences, not just relating to, how many tries we can score and stuff, but more so around around our well-being. And so yeah, I reckon tapping into more of those lessons and imparting those lessons on our youth, I feel is probably a bit more beneficial than, teaching someone how to catch and pass.
Yo. Bro, that is so true, bro. And like so many times, like even I see it in the rugby circles, is that like we focus so much on rugby, where that's important. But me and you talk about it, like if you get the person and their well-being right, then bro, rugby's just going to shine. And I think there needs to be more kind of resources or more work done in terms of tapping into spaces where we're looking after dudes or looking after people in the footy area, and even for youth coming up, giving them like life tools. And that's through like you said, bro, there's nothing more valuable than sharing stories, sharing like that human interaction, than just like going, here's a piece of paper, follow this. You know what I mean? What are your thoughts on that, bro?
Yeah, bro, I totally agree. And, what's the point in acquiring, knowledge and picking up all these like sort of life lessons and experiences if you're not willing to share them? And so, yeah, bro, perhaps it's around having more of these conversations, bringing light, bringing awareness to, more than just rugby, bro, because I reckon that's probably the biggest thing, and something that I've found personally is that whole tying your identity to being a rugby player. And that's probably why I struggled so much back in 2016, was by being injured, that took away from me being able to being a rugby player. And so that, bro,
your
that was just a massive hit, bro, on, my mana, my self-worth, just because of me totally tying it to, being a mean rugby player. And probably also that whole, external validation, bro, from all the fans and stuff like that, seeing you as just so totally a rugby player, and so you sort of feed into that. And yeah, bro, I reckon that's probably not the way to go about it. I think, like you were saying, if we can just build people up as people first and foremost, and have all these other things going on. So rugby's almost just the hat that you put on, you take it off, you put your father hat on, you put your husband hat on through each moment of the day, because if you keep your rugby hat on 24/7, it's gonna, bro, it won't work.
We talk about that with the other boys on the podcast, in regards to like so many times you play a game, you played shit, and then you come off, and then you take that attitude back to your wife, back home, then you're acting all angry. And like you said, it's about, we lost the game, play shit, but I'm going to take this hat off, and then I'm going to go home and be a father, be a husband, and just leave that at the door. And then when I go back to work, then that's when I deal with it. But I think I just started to learn that like a few months ago, whereas, and see if we can share these stories to dudes that are just coming through, and be like, man, like so many times when we were young, man, we were angry for the whole week, because we just thought that's what you're meant to do. But if we can tell them, bro, like, you play a bad game, it's okay. Like after the game, leave it there, go home, enjoy yourself. Then when you come back to start the week off, and then that's when you review it,
Very hard. Like if you get my wife on this podcast, she'll be like, he's an absolute arsehole. Like, just hanging on, exactly that though. Like, whether you've had a crap day at training, and so you hang on to that, and you bring it home, and suddenly you're in a negative mood, and you're not sort of as engaged and as enthused to be present with what's going on at home. Bro, and like, I don't know if I'm analogizing it in the right way, but how people talk about riding the wave, like a massive high of scoring a winning try, bro, winning try, or winning a World Cup, and then, bro, the opposite is like you throw an intercept pass and the other team scores the winning try, or you miss a tackle and they score the winning try. Bro, I just look at those points as just moments. And so it's kind of like, if you win the World Cup, cool, you're still going to go home. You're still, what are the next moments, bro? You get off that wave of rugby, and you get on the wave of being at home, being with the whānau, or it's figuring out what other things you have in your life. And I think for me, just trying to make sense of it is looking at that as that they're just moments, after the game, the game's finished, training's finished, when you get home, you're leaving home. So they're just, okay, what's the next moment? Almost like, how people talk about, okay, what's, my next job in rugby, when either you score a try or you miss a tackle, it's like, hey, what's my next job?
Because like you said, like riding the wave, like win the Real Cup, and then for a whole year you're just like, instead of just making that as a moment and then you go home and then you're like onto it. Like, there's an analogy that like Gary Vee, he uses is about like the reason why people value negativity and get offended by negativity about themselves because they value compliments too much. So like it's about like just staying like
just bringing yourself back to that almost that
neutral.
central, neutral, where you're not being allowed to just flow through all these highs and massive lows, bro, and it's just staying steady on that. And bro, I agree with that. But then I guess it's all in context though. Like, say if you're someone that's really resilient and you can sort of work through those positives and those lows, but then if you're someone who's, bro, just been given crap your whole life, then you might actually need to have that, positive affirmation and that reminder that, bro, you're doing mean. So bro, I see both sides to that sort of thinking.
Yo, come on. And we talk about like well-being, and I know for myself, it's probably just going off of what we've talked about around media and listening to external noise, and and we always say, you just block out the noise. But people that say block out the noise, they listen to the noise because, like, I've said it before, it's easier to block out the noise, but man, it's hard to ignore it because it's just always right in your face. What are your thoughts around, I guess, media, journalists, like, and in terms of around our game and footy, and even like general life and the reporting and stuff? Just remember these are our opinions, and we're not thinking like we're right.
Where to start? Nah, bro. I know we've spoken on this sort of topic, man, so much, and bro, I guess that's why I'm sort of grateful that you've gone into the space around, starting your podcast and just being someone that can, create these, like, a safe environment, bro, for myself and all the other boys that have been on before, to be able to kōrero and just speak freely and speak sort of openly without, a sound grab getting taken, or like a quote getting misunderstood, and then a headline's been done with it. And I know journalists have that's their job, and media is to report on stuff. So I can't chuck everyone in the same basket. There's a couple out there, or one or two, but I've always been wary of saying certain things, or going into that straight robot sort of give the same old answers, stay in that safe zone where things can't get misconstrued and you can't get hung out to dry. And I think that's a pretty stink thing, bro, because it sort of almost puts the shackles on players to actually speak their mind. And it probably comes back to that whole judgment and being worried about what all the public are going to think of you if you speak your mind and speak what you really want to say. And bro, that's why I'm lucky that yourself and there's a few other boys that are stepping into the space, creating opportunities for us to just come in and just kōrero, bro. Yeah, bro.
The reason why I started, like, he's a podcast, but I just wanted to like go into that deep chats where like we get to know the athletes more, because like you said, bro, like we've both been guilty of it. We get asked by media and it's like, yeah, mate, game of two halves, like just want to acknowledge the team, they ask about your try, like, bro, you like scored like a mean try, beat 5 defenders, but they're like, how'd you do it? You're like, oh no, just on the back of like, but really, like, if we were talking to the boys, it's like, yeah, let's go whack, like, we can talk. And I think that's where we're kind of missing it. And I think that's where with media, we may say what we say to the boys, but they can take that and turn it into something that we turn out to be cocky. We're talking about ourselves up too much. Whereas in having these kind of conversations, people kind of see who we are, and athletes, who they are, and their backstory. So when things do go like to crap, or something bad does happen, people actually know who that person is.
Yeah, bro, and it's creating that whole context around the conversation. Like, bro, you might do a stand up in front of all the reporters and speak for about 10 minutes, but they just clip, 5 seconds of you maybe not thinking for that split moment, bro, and then boom, it's a headline, and then suddenly you're just painted in this light that, it's not doing you any favors. And
mate, don't worry, but NRL switch, holy.
Talk to me, bro.
The question was like, bro, would you consider coming to NRL? And I was like, yeah, 100% I'll consider playing for the NBA, the NBL, and I had this mean chat to ICE about everything else, and they just took that one thing, and it just went boom.
Exactly, bro, and that's...
Like they probably were with us.
Yeah, we'll wait to see after a couple of days, see what the headlines are. Slow news days, probably too frequent at the moment, but yeah, bro, exactly that. And on the flip side, I know that they're probably just doing their job and creating that whole clickbait and feeding into that, what's gonna generate attention and generate that, oh yep, bang, is that what happened? Cool, I'll click on that, read it, and it's just sort of a cycle, bro. But whereas doing stuff like this and talking to you and all the other podcasts and the other platforms that are open for the boys, bro, I think it's more sort of genuine and authentic. And like you were saying, one of the reasons I think for you doing this is just to create that sort of player to fan.
Yeah.
That avenue straight away.
Yeah, bro. And like you create that, so there's that bond and you're cutting out the middleman. With like rugby, we've talked about it many times too, about it being a business. Should we go into that or no?
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
Like with media there, and then rugby being a business, and like with the, how can I put it, bro? With rugby being a business and just like that whole stigma around like just staying in your lane kind of thing, like, oh fuck, you know what I mean?
Yeah, bro. Yeah. I think I sort of know where you're going with that, and like, yeah, for me it comes back to, if like just not looking at us as just rugby players. Yeah. Like, yeah, that's something that we're good at, but bro, heaps of our our women, our girls, and our boys, bro, are real talented people, and they've got some amazing stories that people will benefit off, as well as the rugby skills that we have. And so, yeah, perhaps it's around maximising that, and bro, and like I said before, around perhaps a good way to grow the game is, I'll go into it. Like, bro, like when you crack A or Bs, or you go real well in rugby, and they say it's all about creating that no to kid policy, and creating good people before creating good rugby players. It's kind of like, well, why can't we push that message down to when kids start coming into rugby, whether it's under 7s, under 11s, so start honing all these messages into our kids, and that it's more about being good people, learning all these things around values and character and all that sort of stuff, because that's the message that we're getting at the high end. And so why not pump that into the youth, and whether it's club rugby or our grassroots stuff, because if they walk away from rugby, that's sad, but at the same time they're walking away with all these things around just being good humans first and foremost.
Yeah, bro. And like we seen through the chat about and through media around community and tipping into that more often. Obviously, COVID has given us this opportunity window to kind of look at ourselves as a sport, as a game. And one of the things that came out is, are we looking after our community rugby? Because numbers are dropping, or numbers have like plateaued, kind of thing. Do you have any thoughts or ideas around how we can better that? I know Tej came out and said that like top players should be allowed more chances to play for club, because like when we were kids and we had like an All Black or Hurricane playing club rugby, bro, we were down there watching it. Bro, what are your thoughts around that? Bro?
Yeah, harder. I think having that connection, a big thing around like connection and that whole sense of belonging, and I think by taking the likes of the TJs back to North and yourself back to Auries and boys around the other countries to their clubs, it gives, the little kids, everyone in that whole organisation, the whole club, like a massive buzz, and sort of they feel connected. They feel like, oh yeah, these fellas actually, do give a shit about us. Then we're not just seeing them on TV carving up, and like TJ said, standing up and doing a little spiel afterwards saying, oh yep, shout out to my club. They're actually, in there doing the mahi, bro, I reckon. And perhaps like with what's happened with COVID, this is an opportunity to maybe relook at what we're doing with our time, our message, what we're doing on our days off, what we're doing, after trainings, and thinking, okay, how can we put more time back into the grassroots, into the community where we're going to grow the game? Because, like you're saying, bro, the numbers are dying off.
But there's a balance though, because like there's a balance of bringing money into the game, which that means sponsors and, broadcasting, and then that requires a lot of time. And then there's grassroots. So like before COVID, we're doing community stuff, but more so trying to re-bring in money, eh?
Yeah, bro, and it's, I guess money, in a way keeps the lights on, and, food in the cupboards and stuff like that, and, just my own personal opinion, bro, we could get a real better balance to it, I think.
Hard.
Go on and on, bro. Like,
hard.
These
are the chats that me and Skudz just have when we go out for coffee. We just like go on and on, bro. But that's me and Austin. I wanted to save this bit for last, is your family, like up in the East Coast. We spend a bit of time there before World Cup, and your old lady, and I met her too, and how special she is, and like me and my wife, we know where your kind-heartedness comes from, because she's just so gentle, and the way she kind of welcomed us in, and whatnot. Talk a bit about about your upbringing, bro, back home, and like you're real big on te reo, Māori, and tell us a bit about that, bro, your history, upbringing, bro, and how that was, man.
Yeah, bro. So,
you're Tongan too, eh?
Yeah, bro. Hard. Yeah, bro. Yeah. Yeah, I've bro, got connections back to Tonga through on my Skudder side. So
Shot Dogo.
My Doko was out there. Bro, but upbringing, I'm one of three, so I got an older bro, older sister. Like you said, bro, mum was a massive, obviously a huge influence on us, and I like to say that's where, all that kindness and all that manaakitanga comes from, is her, and she's obviously, that's trickled down from her wider family, and bro, all my families, just always willing to do things for other people, and so I've been lucky enough to be brought up around that. With my te reo, bro, I did, I was quite big on it early on, like I went to Kohanga, and I was in like a couple of bilingual classes and stuff like that, but bro, I think just out of the whole me being slack, I didn't sort of continue that, and bro, I didn't see it as being, I don't know if not important is the right word. How come
you didn't carry on? Just
bro, I didn't probably, I guess probably just the whole, didn't see it as being important, and so I almost just took it like as an optional subject throughout high school, and bro, one of my biggest regrets, because especially over the last couple of years, just trying to explore, my te reo, and going back into like learning the language and just conversing with my family and my sister and mum, and all my whānau and that, bro. It's something that I wish I had continued, wish I had I guess made more of an effort to learn it, bro, and speak it, because I'm sort of back on a journey now to relearn it and pick it up again. But bro, it's something that I wish I'd have just hung on to and stay strong with.
Yeah, because you're really good. Because when we go to Marai's, with rugby teams, you're always the one that's doing. Sorry, I don't know what is it like?
Like a whai kōrero.
Yeah, you're always the one doing it, and now because you haven't been with the Canes, TJ's been doing it. But you're like, I wish I could speak my native tongue. Like looking back at it, bro, like like hearing like the Tongan brothers, they just speak fluently, and you're like, man, I wish I could just join in on the chat with the Samoan brothers, but it's like,
bro. And do you reckon, like I always, especially the last couple of years, like thinking about that, tying that back to like your identity, like it gives you a stronger sense of yourself and who you are, like being so tied to your culture because you can speak your native tongue?
yeah, in a way, I had this, it was real interesting, bro, because I had this chat with Victor, and he was saying like so many people tie being Samoan, like you have to be Samoan, or you have to speak the language to be Samoan. So like when you didn't, you be like, you get that look like, oh, you're plastic, like, so it was like, oh,
Similar to us, bro, or like for me anyway, my experiences with being Māori, and the way of proving, or the way of saying that you're Māori is how fluent you are in speaking it. And I think that's a tough one, because I'm not trying to say, oh, you don't need to speak it to almost qualify as Māori.
it's for the people that don't or can't speak it, don't feel bad and don't feel like you are not like Māori or Samoan because you don't speak the language, eh?
Yeah, and sort of almost sitting with that and going, okay, that's a challenge to myself, that I am gonna, look at learning the language or learning a bit more about my whakapapa, where I'm from. And bro, I think almost going back to identity and stuff like that, that your culture and your ethnicity and what's in your blood, bro, is always going to be there from back to your ancestors right through to the next generations that are to come. And so I guess for me that sort of solidifies and reinforces and empowers me around my cultures, being able to speak it. And so that's probably why I'm so keen and eager to be able to learn more and speak it more.
That's gangsters, because man, for so long, bro, I like put up a wall against like culture. Like last year was the first time I went back to Samoa. Like my granddad's there, like dad's dad, like dad's sisters and brothers are there. But for so long, I was like, nah, I'm not going, because I heard so many things about go there, you're just going to get asked for money. So like that was the kind of, those were the words that I held on to and manifested in me. So like anything, a chance to go back, I was like, nah. But for some reason on my self journey, like I felt like an urge to go learn, and like being a part of the King's chat and like just deeping down into the holes of like learning about, Polynesia and how special our ancestors were. I was like, to Sas, nah, we need to go. And we went, bro, and nervous as, like, because, went there and I was like, I just said to Sas, I regret just like waiting for so long to come back home. Yeah. Like I see the sense, and this is me. This is like my parents, where they grew up. Yeah. The house that I'm like standing, I'm like just like embracing. It's like, this is where Dad grew up, made the sacrifice to come back. But ever since that, like I found a real kind of urge and part of my identity of like being proud of Samoan. And I had this chat with Victor about, because I was like, man, a part of me feels like I'm not, because I can't speak Samoan. But he's like, bro, being Samoan is just not about being Samoan. Like we have the qualities of being kind, being generous, saying too low, like excuse me, when you walk past people like in front of them. And he's like, being Samoan is just not about speaking it, but there's a lot of more qualities of being Samoan. Yeah. So I was like, let's go, Facebook. But like you said, like it would be awesome to speak the native tongue as well.
Yeah, bro, and like that's just me speaking to my, Māori side, but then also, acknowledging my Tongan, family and my connections there. And bro, like even just thinking about it, and bro, when I have conversation about it, it almost makes me feel like a little bit nervous and anxious, because bro, I've got like no real understanding of it. And like, bro, I'm still close with my family, but probably connections back to Tonga aren't as strong.
Will you look into tapping into
100%, bro. Yeah, that's definitely like part of the journey that I'm on. And bro, we talk about, and especially the King's chat, it's awesome you brought that up around that whole self-discovery, and always thinking that there's more to things. I think like even in hearing you speak about like your experiences and what you understood to be around Samoa and back home, once you do go a little bit deeper down that hole. And start learning and understand a bit more, then you're like, far out, nah, actually, no, this is actually amazing. This is who I am, and this is what I can draw from it.
Yo, and you know, for people, the youth and the people coming up, guys and ladies that are wanting to become athletes, or even just in general, bro, what are some few words of advice that you would give? I know through like social media, you probably get it, like kids going, bro, got some advice that you can give me to, you know,
You just want to learn how to sidestep.
this gotta step, bro. You know, what's some like advice, or what would you say to them, bro? The ones that are listening.
Bro, I guess where we've gone to with the chat, I reckon, like just around self-belief, you know, having that internal validation. Like, bro, in this day and age, we're always worried about, like, you know, other people's comments, like being judged, and, you know, worried about what they're going to say, and that whole sort of external validation, bro, is just an absolute killer for, you know, people wanting to strive to do good things and, you know, step out of their comfort zone. And bro, for me, yeah, it's just be, who cares what anyone else thinks, bro? Just, if you believe that you know, you want to achieve whatever you want to achieve, and just, yeah, that whole thing, like leading with kindness as well, like not getting too up yourself that, you know, you forget who you are and you forget how to treat people. Yeah, bro, that's probably my main one, because I think, yeah, for me, when I got to, you know, playing Super Rugby and playing ABs and stuff like that, I was, bro, always worried about, you know, how I was perceived and, you know, being judged. And so
It happens to all of us, man.
bro, it sucks, eh? And so I guess, yeah, things that I've worked on, bro, is just around how I, you know, how I have those conversations with myself, the types of, you know, messages and positive stuff I'm feeding myself. And yeah, bro, that makes me a bit happier and allows me to go out there and just, yeah, get on with things.
Yeah, bro. Like how important having like a good support network around you, like a group of friends, or family or whatever, to kind of be that voice inside you. So when you're trying to push out and trying to block out the external noise, you have these voices that are being like, that are kind of like saying to you, like, it's okay. Like they just, it's like that extra push.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, 100%. It's weird. I'll probably sidetrack here because it's probably something I wanted to touch on earlier, but especially to do with like well-being and mental health and mental fitness, and going off, you know, encouraging people to speak out, you know, step into that sort of courageous conversations, and, you know, where they are struggling, okay, who can I lean on and why should I lean on them? And it's, bro, the same thing when I've thought about when I've achieved good things, bro, it hasn't all been just me. Like, no way at all, and nor should I even think that. And so I've had all the support with my wife, you know, close friends, all the boys, family. And so it's trying to flip that and go, okay, because they've helped me get to the top when things are going to shit.
Are they still there?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's one question is, are they still there? Where are you? But then, bro, the real ones will be there.
Yeah,
and so it's kind of like, okay, building that connection and that trust and that courage to be able to lean on them when you do need help. And so, yeah, bro, like you were saying, having that strong support network to, you know, give you that extra push when you're trying to achieve mean things, but then also being there to, yeah, support you and get you the help or whatever you need when things don't go to plan.
Hard out, eh? You, like they said, like the quote or the saying is you find out your true friends when, you know, you're going through those tough times.
100.
Is there anything else you want to chat about, us, or touch on? Anything we missed, us?
Nah, bro, I think this has been, bro, awesome. This has been, I guess, yeah, been in lockdown for about 6 or so weeks, and bro, it's cool to see some handsome faces and be able to, yeah, have an opportunity just to speak openly, bro, especially with the news of me heading down south, and also touch on, you know, my time with the Canes and how much love and admiration I have for the whole franchise, all the boys, the management, the fans, and just be excited about what's coming up. And yeah, bro, have a bit of a korero about other stuff as well. So
yeah, bro, hard.
Appreciate it.
It's mean having you on, us, and it's it's sad, but I'm really happy that you're leaving and going and starting a fresh start at the Landers. Just don't step me if you're playing against the Hurricanes. Hopefully get on. But thanks for coming on, Us. I know it's good to see like a face. First day of level 2, so pretty grateful to connect with someone that I'm close with. But thanks for jumping on, Us. For you guys that have listened, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're listening, watching, please subscribe, or if you're listening, share it. As I ask, share the story. But thanks for jumping on. Hope everyone's okay. Stay blessed and be safe. If you're going through something, I'd say reach out, but also for the people that are in a good space, reach out to your friends and see if they're okay as well. So stay blessed. Aloha aku. Peace out.
Che whanu.